Thanks for checking in on the State of Basketball Podcast, episode 117. I'm Adam Miller, and I'm here with Jaren Will each and every week, and we are going to be bringing you the news and notes on all 11 Division I schools in the state of Indiana, because in 49 states,
it's just basketball.
Apologies for the unannounced hiatus there. We kind of got to, by the time that the tournament
doing a show weekly on Sundays
during the tournament,
it makes it hard because the championship is on a Monday. So at that point, it's a whole week after the championship, and you've already gotten all the information you need about the tournament. And
from everyone else.
Yeah. It probably would have been different if, an Indiana team won.
Yeah, or was involved.
Yeah. But that wasn't the case. And so we just felt that it was like, okay, probably don't have anything relevant to share that you probably didn't already hear.
Yeah, and then when we wanted to talk about each week, it was like, well, we record on Sundays. That's just kind of the time that we can do it. That's why we go live on Sundays. And then it was like, oh, well, there's still a game or two on. There's still games are still being played.
Scheduling of the tournament did not help either because games tipped off at 9 p.m. on a Sunday.
Yeah, so apologize for that, but we're back. So if you're here, just going to say that today we're going to be talking about only 6 of our 11 teams. So this is, if you can see the title, obviously, here for part 1. So going alphabetically, this is just the first 6 teams. We're going to talk about Ball State, Butler, Evansville, IU Indy, and Indiana State today. And then next week, we'll talk about Notre Dame, Purdue, Fort Wayne, Southern Indiana, and Valpo. So just split it up into 2. That way we can talk a little bit more instead of trying to cram 11 schools into a week. Why would you ever try and talk about 11 schools in detail in 1 week? I don't know. I would never do something like that personally. Never, ever. So we're just going to be talking about 6 of our 11 teams this week. We're going to talk about what we thought they were going to do, kind of what their goals were, who we thought was going to be important. Wrong about that one almost every time. And then if they met those goals and kind of what the season looked like, what their actual outcome was. So it's kind of the game plan. What else do you have, Jaren?
I'm excited to be back. I'm excited to obviously we took a little break. It's baseball season for me, so I'm in the thick of that. So Sundays are the day that I dedicate to college basketball because baseball is every other day of the week. But I'm excited for the off season because it's always the time. We didn't do it as much last year, but it's always our time where we can do things that we're not able to do during the regular season, right? Have more guests on. A lot of potential guests to have on this summer. A lot of turnover across the board, which we'll talk about, but a lot of former players doing cool things that we've made connections with. So
I think one guy we need to get on is Jalen Jackson at Butler. We need to get him on since he's one of the holdovers, and we'll talk about that. He's one of the people who's going to be coming back next year. So I'd like to have him on, talk a little bit about PFW, talk about Butler, and everything about that. But I'd
like to reach back out to Ben Homerkaus and just get him back on after his amazing.
Yeah, what was it like going to
the
Final
amazing
Four?
Run that the Illinois had? Maybe he's too big time now for us, but
yeah, we can try
things like that we want to do this summer, especially, and that's what we're able to do in the off season. So we talk about it every year, going to visit schools in the summer and trying to get more tours. We'll see if we make that work again this summer.
Yeah. We do have an update. We did do a bracket challenge, and it was coming down to it. I would just want to say that Jaren did finish dead last. Very, very low down. You had Houston as your national champion, so that I
did not have much chalk. I was a believer in some of the low and mid majors. did not work out long term. I had USF. I had South Florida in the Elite Eight. I'm pretty sure.
That's
So that didn't help me at all. So yeah, I did poorly, but I'm just gonna say I knew too much ball. I watched too many games that like it skewed my judgment.
You can convince yourself. That's the problem when you watch so many games. You can convince yourself into so many different things.
And but the crazy thing is like the whole time I was like, Michigan can win it all. Michigan can win it all. I had them losing in like my Elite Eight.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I from December I said that, and then come bracket time I was like, but this team get really hot, and this team can make a run, so they can probably do it.
Yeah.
And well, you see how that worked out.
I just want to say that our bracket that we made together was a perfect bracket. We finished with 69 points, so that's nice. I was either gonna finish second or third, no matter what. I could not
Your
finish
individual
first.
bracket.
Yeah, my individual bracket. I was gonna be second or third. Obviously, if I won, the prize was gonna go to the person
in second.
or whatever. But I lost by 1 point. So I got one fewer first round match. Actually, yeah, I got one more first round game right, but the winner got 2 second round matchups right. My brother Zach beat me by 1 point. I had 130, he had 131. So congrats to him. We got to send him a mug, but shout out to my brother Zach for winning. Obviously had Michigan winning, and yeah, I mean,
and to clarify, he's getting
impressive.
a mug because that is what he wanted.
Yeah, that's what he wanted.
Not because that's what we're saying. What we're saying. We were gonna let the winner choose anything from our merch store, and he chose a mug of all things, which is nice on our pocket.
I use mine all the time.
I don't have one, but I drink more tea than coffee these days anyway.
I want. Those are in mugs too.
But I
do want to say that our friend who was the first person that I know of to fill out a bracket in our pool was like, just filled out a perfect bracket. He was third to last. He was 2 people above you. So that's all fun. The little bit of a late update, but we'll get that, mug out to my brother Zach. And I guess it's not the weekly rankings, but Jaren, give us a little update on like where our rankings stood in the fall and where they ended in the spring. So let's talk about our team rankings, where they started in the preseason and where they ended in the postseason after week 18.
Yeah, so I'll start with preseason. We'll start with preseason. I'm just going to go down 1 through 11 because there's no big reveal there. We've already talked about this, both our preseason and postseason. Everyone should already know what those rankings were, so I'll go 1 through 11 instead of 11 to 1. But at 1 in the preseason, we had Purdue. At 2, we had Indiana. At 3, we had Notre Dame. 4 was Butler. 5 was Purdue Fort Wayne. 6 was Evansville. 7 was Indiana State. 8 was Southern Indiana. 9 was Ball State. 10 was Valpo. 11 was IU Indy. And crazy thing is, only 2 of them stayed the same to the postseason. It's probably pretty easy to guess which those 2 were, but or no, 3. 3 of them stayed the same. I overlooked one.
Yeah, we called it. 3 of 11 is pretty good,
I'll hey,
and if this is like,
what?
Like the bracketology, they're like you had them 1 seed line off or whatever. We had a couple that were 1 off. One place off from where they finished. We also do the rankings. Like we do both rankings. We're not comparing to like an official ranking or something. This would be like,
yeah, right.
Not, it's not like a committee ranked them in the year. The committee's us. we're grading ourselves.
Yeah. So look at the postseason. At 1, we had Purdue. Shocker.
Duh.
They were preseason 1 as well. At 2 was Indiana. Also our preseason 2. Pretty reasonable for us to be right on those. 3, we had Butler. So they moved up the 1 spot from 4. Had a little bit of a better season than I think we anticipated. But also Notre Dame was 4, who they struggled. Obviously had some major injuries. Things just did not work out for them. So Notre Dame was 4. Those two just kind of swapped. I'd say the biggest change out of all of our teams that I think I can confidently say is Valpo. Right, we had them preseason 10. They had a lot of freshmen coming in. They had a lot of transfers. They lost several key pieces from the year prior, and we were like, okay, we'll start with a conservative 10, and then they just absolutely balled out. So they ended up at 5, the best mid-major, I'd say, in the state. At 6, we had Indiana State. Preseason, they were 7, so they moved up the 1 spot. They did, we'll talk about their goals and if they met those, but they impressed us enough to end the season at 6. At 7 was Purdue Fort Wayne. I'd say that was a pretty big kind of letdown. We expected them. They had a lot of turnover. They lost all 4 of their 5 starters from last year. Excuse me, but they struggled, so they moved down a few spots. Still better than some of the other teams in the state, but 8 was Evansville. They dropped 2 spots as well. A lot of that had to do with Valpo making their big jump, but Evansville was at 8. At 9 was Ball State. Started the season at 9, and our preseason ended the season at 9. So they were the third of the ones that stayed the same, just kind of hung out. They 9th in our rankings, and I think they ended the season 9th or 10th in the MAC. So pretty fitting there, I guess. 10 was IU Indy. We had them at 11 the preseason, but they moved up a spot. They had signs of life, a lot of promise. Things just didn't quite work out the way that they hoped in their first season under Ben Howlett. Then 11 was Southern Indiana. They just they struggled. They struggled. They're not hitting a groove like we think that they should or could. So they
go in the wrong direction year over year.
Yeah. It's things are tough down in at USI right now. But that was our postseason and our preseason rankings.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about each of these teams, but yeah, I think Valpo is definitely the biggest surprise. I mean, the reason why we had them 10 and then they finished 5 is their freshman production was insane with Rakeem Chaney and JT Pettigrew coming in and just being, just like crazy. And obviously, like, they lost the freshman of the year, the most improved player in the conference. Like the things that they lost were probably like the biggest out of any team. Like their biggest pieces that they lost were the biggest losses that we'd seen across any of our teams almost. And then they
I'd say other than Indiana.
Yeah.
But I think that's a little different.
Right.
Because
that was a completely retooled team.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get into it. So let's talk about Ball State. So Ball State, again, just a refresher, they still do play in the MAC, and this was year 4 of Mike Lewis. So we'll just rip the Band-Aid off now. It was also the final year of the Mike Lewis era.
R.I.P. Mike Lewis. He got hit by a fire.
A bazooka. Yeah, so Mike Lewis got fired, and let's kind of talk about why. So they started the season at 230 in Bart Torvik, and they ended the season at 278. So, I mean, they went down, right? And they're projected to go 15-15 on the season, and then 9-9 in the conference. So it had them finishing tied for 6th in the MAC. That would obviously, I guess if you don't remember, or if you don't listen to the Ball State section where we talked about this every week for like 5 or 6 weeks, that would have put them in the MAC tournament, which is kind of what we thought that they would need to do this season because they had missed it under Mike Lewis so far. So our personal record prediction was 10-8 in the MAC and 17-14 overall. So just a little bit higher than Bart Torvik was projecting. That's going to be like a pretty common trend that you're going to see these 16. We are pretty optimistic, and when the numbers come back, it's actually usually closer to Bart. Turns out we are not as smart as computers. So They're they're expected to go 500. That would have been fine, right? That would have been okay. Getting into the MAC tournament would have been a good deal. Their actual record was 12-19 and 7-11 in the MAC. They finished 9th in the MAC again, which means that they missed the MAC tournament again. And I think missing that MAC tournament was kind of the final straw for Mike Lewis and his tenure at Ball State. I think that's one of the things we talked about in the off season during our preview was like, if he doesn't get a winning season in the MAC, will he be on the hot seat? Was kind of our question. Turns out he was already on the hot seat. His seat was already hot, and we were being a little bit we were a little bit naive to that. So yeah, I thought that there would be like a one more year type of thing. Like, okay, you got to make it now, but I mean, 4 years is pretty typical. I feel like for if you don't make the tournament ever, like the conference tournament ever.
Yeah, I think if it's not if it's not a situation like the MAC or even the Ohio Valley, right, where there is a cutoff of whether you make the tournament, I think that it maybe plays out a little bit differently. But at the same time, I don't know. I just think that there's just historically speaking, there's just been a winning culture at Ball State with basketball, and that just hasn't been there the last 4 years.
Right.
And so I think even if it was that everyone makes the MAC tournament situation, like probably still doesn't, especially at 7-11.
Yeah, I think it's just it could
if you're 500 or if you're just above 500, it might be a little different.
There's a lot of like things that you could think about because like if everyone made the MAC tournament, like Ball State was playing great basketball down the stretch.
Yeah,
like they were playing their best basketball down the stretch. They were literally like one UMass loss away from making the tournament.
Yeah,
what they win one more game, like they're in the MAC tournament, and like. If they had won a game or two, maybe it's a different story, but that's not how this story goes. So let's kind of talk about players, Jaren.
Yeah, so as a reminder, they had one guy, one major returner coming back. That was Mason Jones. Then they had a slew of transfers.
Not from slew.
Right. They had a SLEW of transfers. Which you're gonna see a lot of times with these mid majors, but big ones that I'll name, right? They had a bunch come in, but big ones I'll name guys like Davion Hill, Armani Ziegler, two of the major ones. Devin Barnes,
kind of the big two right there.
Yeah, and then there's Devin Barnes just behind him, right? So they were the major ones, which were all. Two of the three were kind of mid-major, low-major transfers. And then Davion Hill came up from JUCO. And that it shows that it does translate going from JUCO to the Division I level because Davion Hill was their best player by a pretty wide margin, I'd say. Especially when it comes to scoring. Like he was the guy that was going to get a bucket every time. Mason Jones, unfortunately, he was their second highest minutes guy, and he played all 31 games, but he just wasn't that.
He wasn't. He didn't see an uptick in production.
Efficient.
He was just kind of
He did what he
more
probably
of a glue guy
needed to
type
do.
Of thing.
He averaged 4 points, 4 rebounds, just under 2 assists and 2 steals. Like, he did it all. He went out there, played a lot of minutes.
Yeah, I mean, those are fine numbers, but they're not fine numbers for like the one guy that you're bringing back.
Yeah,
like,
you got to be a little bit more productive.
Yeah.
I'd say, if you're Mason Jones and you want your team to be successful. I mean, you got Davion Hill, right? 14 points, averaging in 26 minutes played, which is not bad. 4 rebounds, 2 assists, shooting 34% from 3. So he's a bucket. Armani Ziegler averaged 32 minutes a game, just under 13 points, 5 rebounds, both as guards there. He's a 33% shooter. And then Devin Barnes, 9 points on 20 minutes per game, 2 assists, and He was a 34% 3-point shooter as well. So, those are the big ones. Joey Hart was another guy that came back, but didn't really do a whole
He
lot.
played 4 games
Last
I think.
year,
Was
played
hurt
4 games
again.
this year, got hurt. So, definitely didn't help there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, just saw a couple of guys with production, but like you expected Joey Hart to be healthy and contribute, and you just kind of expected, I don't know, more competition. Like Zane Doty, we thought was going to be, like you said, he was like one of the biggest guys on the roster. He ended up leaving during the season, stepping away for, I think it was mental health reasons, and so you lost a lot, and I just think that, I don't know, the vision wasn't there. Like I think the roster construction was okay, but I think that it just never translated for this team onto on-court stuff. Going into the season, we had some games highlighted. So this is what we're going to talk about for each team. Is like going into the season, you see their Torvik numbers to the teams that they're going to play, and then some of them are like 100 spots lower.
Yeah.
Right. You never know. So they started out with an exhibition at PFW. PFW won that game, but then they had their MAC Sunbelt opener against Louisiana, and then they also had 2 in-state games at Indiana State and at Evansville, and then another game we were like, okay, this could be important, is the game at Campbell in December. So those are the kind of the games that we thought were going to be important. Unfortunately, Ball State did not do a lot of winning this year, so they won that Louisiana game, that season opener in the MAC Sunbelt Challenge. They won that game, and we were like, okay, like this is good news, like things are going to be trending. Louisiana was not very good. I mean, they finished just below Ball State in the final rankings, which I guess props to the people who set up the MAC Sunbelt games, because they nailed that one.
Yeah.
They nailed that one.
Well, they do it based on net ranking anyway.
But the net doesn't come out till like,
or I guess they do it based on, it might be KenPom.
Yeah.
Or
projection, guess. Yeah. Or maybe like media poll or something.
Yeah.
So their biggest win was a game that when they beat UMass in February by 1 in overtime. UMass is ranked 175. They needed that. I mean, at the time, they really needed that game to get into the MAC tournament. Ended up not happening. But I mean, that was their only win over a top 200 team. Their next best win was over 225 Ohio. And like they didn't have a ton of them, but like that Campbell game, that's a top 200 team. They lost that one. Indiana State was 210, so like that was close. They got blown out. Miami obviously was top 200. Akron obviously top 200, top 100 even. Toledo, like all these games, they were not really even close to beating a top 200 team, honestly. So that UMass game was feels like an outlier, but in the season it wasn't really, because they were just playing really good basketball at the end of the season.
Yeah.
And ended the season on a 4-game win streak. Beat UMass, beat Northern Illinois, beat Western Michigan, beat Central Michigan. 4 games in a row. They
were just in a position where every other team around them in the standings had to lose, and it's too many dominoes that needed to fall.
Yeah, you're asking for a lot. Like you really want to have. I mean, honestly, there's no real games in conference where you can be like, if they had gotten this one, because none of them were that close. Like an 8-point loss to UMass at UMass, maybe. Other than 10 points lost by 10 to Buffalo. That they weren't close in the ones. They just really got it together. Like once they lost to Akron on February 20th, they figured it out.
Yeah.
They just ran out of time. If they played a 20 game league schedule, they could have done it.
Might have been different. But so I guess looking at the goals that we had for them, finish top 5 and make the MAC tournament semifinals. obviously, everything we've said thus far, neither of those things happened. They finished ninth, and they didn't even make the MAC tournament.
They can't make it to the semis if you don't make the tournament. People don't know that.
Going into the season, Mike Lewis was 25 and 29 in his MAC coaching career. It's what he finished. Do some quick math here. Quick math. 32 and 30. 32 and 40. No. 32 and 50 was his final MAC coaching record. Is that correct?
I'm trying to find his
29 plus 11.
32 and 40 in the MAC. 61 and 64 overall.
So, I mean, again, he's right there.
Yeah.
But it's just not gonna cut it.
I mean, it's a tough spot when you have like Akron and Miami of Ohio having the years that they had.
Yeah,
and it's like you see that and you're like, okay, so like good things can happen in the MAC.
Yep.
We gotta change something.
Yeah. And I think that was probably a big part of it. And I do think their coach they brought in, Coach Cap, I think that he's going to be really,
They've
really
got like a very highly rated mid-major transfer portal haul, but we'll talk about that. That's not this season, so we'll talk about that later
in like October.
Yeah, let's talk about Butler though.
Yes, Butler. So still the Big East Conference. Nothing has changed there. Going into the season, Thad Matta was in his fourth year. So his fourth year as the head coach, and for the time being, his last. He also no longer with the program. Not
Didn't
by
get
firing.
Didn't get fired.
But he
did not get hit by the bazooka. The firing bazooka.
No, he retired. He decided to hang it up. He kind of just felt that it was time. It was a really weird how it happened on a Friday.
Yeah.
The athletic director announced that he was returning. And then on Sunday, Thad came out and said that he was retiring. So doing what's best for the family. His daughter is still working for the program. Got a promotion. Very impactful.
Is she the Dobo now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's cool.
He's still kind of working as an advisor in the athletic department, I believe.
Yeah, he's got one of those like made up positions.
Yeah,
where he's just like, we want to have Thad Matta around, you know.
Because I mean, he's a Butler guy, so he wants to be around. He just doesn't feel that coaching is his thing anymore. But going into the preseason, they were 87th in Torvik, and impressively, they finished 66th. So they did trend up throughout the season. Their projected ranking going into the season, they were 16 and 15 overall, 8 and 12 in the Big East, which would have had them at about a four-way tie for 7th in the Big East. They finished 16 and 16 and 7 and 13. So just under that win margin in the Big East, but above in the actual record, or I guess technically below in the actual record as well, because of the preseason record didn't reflect the Big East tournament, but they did finish tied for 7th in the Big East. So while they had one less win than anticipated, obviously other teams around them kind of didn't perform as the metrics or the computers thought that they would.
This team was on like a steady rise from the beginning of the season.
Yep.
It was like a steady rise. They started in the 80s, and then they went up, and they kept going up. They made it all the way to like 47 when they played Creighton, end of the year, and then it was just downhill. Went back up to like the mid 50s, and then finished where they finished in the 70s or whatever, 66. So it was like, yeah, they were doing great. And then it just slowly went down throughout the season. And like reasons why we were like high on these teams, like, we thought that they were going to go 10-1 in the non-con.
Yeah.
Thought they would go 10-1, and honestly, not a bad call by us. They lost to SMU. They lost to Boise State. That was it. So they went 9-2. Not bad.
And I will say, we said that they would lose to either Virginia, Northwestern, or SMU.
Mm-hmm.
So we were right on that. We just didn't even think Boise State. I think that was a fluke game kind of thing.
Yeah.
I also think Boise State was just a little better than a lot of people thought they would be.
I mean, they finished 54.
At least, yeah, at least
good.
As the season went on. So close there. We did say they'd be 12-8 in the Big East. They're 7-13. The Big East wasn't great this year. The middle of the Big East wasn't great. It was pretty top heavy.
Very top heavy.
I'd say that in general, as a conference, they kind of underperformed, but Butler was a part of that. So like,
yes,
definitely a factor there. And we thought they'd go 22-9 overall. We were very optimistic. I'd say a lot of that had to do with some of the transfers that they brought in.
I mean, they would have done that well. I mean, they went 16-16. I think they would have done close to that well had they not gotten injured. So let's talk about the guys, right?
Yeah, that's kind
so
of
they
where
were
I was going.
returning Finley Bizjack. You know, they're the starting point guard. They technically weren't returning Jamie Kaiser, but they were returning. He was injured last year, like an injury red shirt.
Still on the roster, but didn't play. So.
Yeah, so he was in the program. So he came back. They get Jalen Jackson from PFW. Like, okay, you got two guards in Finley Bizjack and Jalen Jackson, and then Michael Ajayi came from Gonzaga, and people were like, okay, he's actually going to be like really good, like a guy who it just didn't click at Gonzaga. It might click at Butler. And then we were like, okay, maybe Drayton Jones or maybe Yame Butler could do something. They're bringing in like really good freshmen, right? Xavier Stink Robinson, another point guard that they were bringing in. We were like, okay, they're kind of loaded, right?
Yeah.
Well, then everyone and their mother gets hurt. Like everybody gets hurt. I mean, Finley Bizjack, he plays. He has to do everything. He gets hurt occasionally for time. Like it was like he was like going down in every game, but like coming back in. But I think the guy who was like, yeah, it definitely clicked was Ajayi. I mean, Finley was exactly what you would expect him to be. Shot pretty well from three, but Ajayi was like good. Did he make the third team, or was he a snub? I feel like he got snubbed and didn't make. If you check on that, I mean, Finley was the leading scorer in points with 17. Ajayi was right behind him, but Ajayi averaged. I mean, he averaged a double, 16 points, 11 rebounds, and
I mean, he was the nation's leading rebounder for a chunk of the season.
Yeah.
Make this easier for me.
Jamie Kaiser is pretty good, but I mean, Jalen Jackson played 6 games. And then, he goes down and they just replace him with Stink Robinson. Well, he's injured now. Jack McCaffrey is injured. So it was like they were just decimated by injury, especially at the point guard spot. Like Finley just had nobody. He had no help. And he was supposed to have, 2 guys to help him. And one, Jalen Jackson, who's played about 1 billion basketball games. So kind of decimated by injury there. Ajayi led the team in rebounds and assists. Finley led them in points. So got the production that you needed out of a couple of guys, but I would say
Ajayi was first team.
He was? Okay.
Yep, he was first team.
As he should be. So, those 2 dudes were good. Other than that, it was pretty much not like, I mean, Jamie Kaiser wasn't exactly what I thought he would be. He only shot 35% from 3, which is 34.5% from 3, which is less than Finley. And I mean, there was a stretch in the season where Finley Bizjack was like 1 for 30 from 3. You remember that? Like it was, he just could not hit anything, and so
Finley did finish third team though.
Third team.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Ajayi was first team. Finley was third team.
So, it wasn't even like they didn't get the production that they needed. They just literally could not get the people on the floor because they were injured. So, decimated by injuries was kind of the story. And I think that's really what made this season go south. So, the games that we thought would be important, they played Notre Dame. They played Indiana State. Those are both exhibitions. But then they played two Indiana teams, Southern Indiana and IU Indy. Then we had at SMU, so that was the return game from the 24-25 season when SMU came to Butler. And then they had the Greenbrier tip-off where they played South Carolina and Virginia. So those are kind of the important games. The biggest win of the season was winning in South Carolina against Virginia, who finished the season ranked 18th and was, really, really, really good. Kind of a head scratcher when you look back on it that like Virginia lost that game to Butler, but like this is when Butler was playing its best basketball. Unfortunately, it was playing its best basketball in November and not February. They did beat 56 Seton Hall and then beat Northwestern by 3 in the Indy Classic. So had some good wins in there, but still winless against UConn. Still couldn't get wins against the teams that make the tournament in the Big East, basically.
So what were their
yeah? Where do we think
goals?
They were gonna do?
What goals did we have for them? Goal number 1 was make it to the NCAA tournament. Goal number 2 was be above 500 in the conference, go 10-1 in the non-con. Well,
they were close to being 10-1. They were 9-2 in the non-con.
Yeah,
but it's just 7-13 in the Big East, man. That killed them.
It's so they weren't close to hitting those goals, really.
And again, it's just because of injuries.
Yeah, and that's what sucks. I think that it was a team that was definitely built to kind of win now.
Mm-hmm.
And the injuries really kind of ruined that. Because, like you said earlier, Bizjack played, I think, all but one game.
Mm-hmm.
But his minutes in some of those games were like, okay, he gets hurt in the first minute.
Yeah.
And doesn't play. So, like, he still played that game, but did he really play?
Right.
So, like, those things suck. And obviously, Mata retired. So, they got a new coach coming in, kept some key players. Jackson's returning, which is good. And what they're kind of doing in the portal has been pretty promising.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they're a team that next year, maybe are around where they're at now, but it's something they can build on year over year.
Yeah, hopefully.
They're allocating some more resources to the program, which is much needed in general. We were firm believers that Mata did not have the resources that they should have.
Everyone was.
Even
Dan Hurley, man.
Even Dan Hurley.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they gotta, we'll talk about that, but like later. But yeah, it's a tough go, and I think that I thought that there would be 2 openings in the state, and there were 2 openings in the state. So we've talked about the 2 schools already. I think that there were 2 other schools that could have opened, and one of them that I thought that was going to open was Evansville. Yeah. I thought that I was like, because which one opened first?
Ball State.
Yeah, they fired Mike Lewis, and then people were like, "Is anyone else?" And I was like, "I think we're going to get one more opening, and it'll either be Evansville, because we had already heard that Southern Indiana wasn't going to open, or maybe I said it'll be Evansville, Southern Indiana, or Butler. I think one of those opens, but not all 3, or not even 2. And Evansville did not open, and it was a totally reasonable thing. Like, this is another thing. It was year 4 of David Ragland, right? It was year 4 of David Ragland. I would say saw worse results than Mike Lewis. In his time. So it was like totally a reasonable thing to like say that Evansville would open. They started the season at 225th in Torvik, and they finished the season 309th in Torvik. So significantly lower than where they started in the season. So it's like, okay, that's definitely the wrong direction. They're projected to go 12-17 by the computers, by Torvik, and finish 7-13 in the Missouri Valley. Finished tied for ninth with Indiana State. So not a good spot, but like that's what your projection is.
We predicted that they would go 18-13.
Yeah.
We were pretty optimistic with their roster construction and just kind of how things had been trending.
We thought they'd go 11-9. We thought they'd go 11-9 in the Missouri Valley.
Yeah.
So we were like hopeful. And then their actual season, they went 7-25. So they had single digit wins. And then they won 3 games in the Missouri Valley.
We said they'd go 7-4 in the non-con.
Yeah.
Just the non-con.
They won as many games. We thought they obviously finished last in the Missouri Valley, and like they won like on AJ Casey's dying breath. They were gonna win that last game against Valpo for the season, and they did. But like they almost finished with 2 wins in the Valley. Like they had to go, I think, to overtime in that one. So it was a tough go. It was a tough go for Evansville this year, and has continued to be, year over year. But
yeah, I mean, based on their players, right? They had Connor Turnbull, Josh Hughes coming back. Those Turnbull averaged 7 points, 5 boards. Hughes was averaging 9 points, 4 boards. And then they had guys coming in like Alex Hemingway and Keyshawn Porter and AJ Casey and Marlon Barnes. And then a handful of freshmen as well, Bryce Quinnett and Leif Miller to call out 2 specific. And they'd been successful with bringing in European freshmen. Right, they back-to-back years they have had a European coming in. Leif Muller most recently having played pro German ball. So like, okay, we've got guys that can come in, and AJ Casey did just that. Right, he was their leading point scorer, like you just mentioned, willed them to win their last game.
Yeah, literally
of the regular season, and then Turnbull, he had a big uptick in production. He only played 16 games. He was out with injury quite a bit and some sickness that he dealt with. But he averaged 11.6 boards, so improvement on both from the previous year when he was at Butler. And then, or I guess, no, the previous year. He came from Butler 2 years ago. Last year was still on the team. And Joshua Hughes averaged about the same points, 9.3. So he averaged 0.1 more points, and then averaged about the same with boards, 4 boards. He played all 32 games as well. But then Leif Muller, kind of like we thought, he came in, averaged just under 11 points, 4 assists, and then 4 rebounds. So he was there. He's also, I think, one of their better shooters at 36.6%.
They always got to have some European freshman come in and play ball.
Yeah, and then their 5th best player was Bryce Quinnett, another freshman. So 2 freshmen. Obviously, one is a little skewed because he was 22-year-old, previously played pro.
Yeah,
in Germany, but Bryce Quinnett, he was only averaged 8.7 points, but he played all 32 games, and he made his impact. There's some games where he'd score like 15, 16, 17 points.
Yeah.
There's some games where he just only scored a few, which is natural for a freshman, especially in a pretty competitive Missouri Valley.
Yeah, but I mean, speaking of slew of transfers, I mean, AJ Casey was definitely the one that
he did transfer from SLU.
Yeah.
For anyone else that didn't
catch that, he's from St. Louis. He was definitely, I think he was an all-league guy in the Missouri Valley end of the year, and well deserved. I mean, yeah, he literally did will them to dropped like 50 million points in their win against Valpo, which I guess we should talk about.
He was 3rd team. To be specific. AJ Casey was 3rd team.
They started the season the absolute worst way you can ever start a season, and that's playing the number one team in the preseason, which was Purdue. They played them to start the season. Obviously got rocked. they were going to play Middle Tennessee State. They had the Paradise Jam, which was Oregon State, and then Iona or Akron. I believe they played Akron. And then I don't remember who their third game was. Do I still have it open? Charleston. So pretty tough draw there. They played at Ball State, they played at Western Kentucky, and they played at Notre Dame. And I mean, of those games, like, they beat Ball State, but like Ball State fired their coach.
Everyone
Ball
beat
State
Ball
was not
State,
good.
too.
Yeah. They beat Oregon State, which sounds like 5 years ago sounds crazy.
Yeah.
5 years ago sounds crazy, but this is Oregon State in whatever they were in the WCC this year or whatever.
Yeah.
Still a top 200 team, so better than Ball State did, you know. Better than Ball State, but in results metrics there. But then their biggest win was against 99 ranked Illinois State, and then that win against Valpo to close the regular season out.
It actually wasn't their
164.
last game of the regular season.
Oh yeah, because they had that rescheduled game, like
because of Southern Illinois, which
that rescheduled the next day.
yeah.
That's right. It was Valpo's last game of the season. Valpo's last game of the season. So, like 3 good wins there, but then I mean, utterly nothing on the resume other than those 3 games.
Yeah, they beat top 100 Illinois State.
Yeah, that was one of those 3 games. Oregon State, Illinois State, and Valpo. That was it. Like,
still top 100.
yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, still, a lot was to left be desired. I mean, yeah. I mean, not a lot to be excited about going into. They got a lot of work to do. So, what did we think that they were going to do, Jaren?
So we thought that they would get above 500 in the season and have a good non-con. They only won 3 games in the non-con the year prior, but were 8-12 in the conference. So we're like, okay, let's turn it around a little bit, get some more non-con wins there to add on to the conference record.
Mm-hmm.
And neither of those things happened.
Nope.
They weren't sniffing either of those things.
So, year 5 of David Ragland,
they were above 500 for a couple weeks. They were at 500 until November 23rd.
This team went on an 8-game losing streak and a 6-game losing streak, and then a 4-game losing streak all in a row. 8 games, 1 against Indiana State, 6 games, 1 against Illinois State. This is like, okay, that's a crazy win. And then 4-game losing streak right there.
Well, and here's the thing. Granted, 2 of the teams that they played to start the season were non-Division I, but they started good. They're right. Okay, they lost to Purdue, obviously.
Yeah, okay,
most teams in the country lost to Purdue.
Thing. They only won 5 D1 games.
Yeah, but then they're like, okay, back-to-back wins over 9 D1. Cool. You expect that. Thank goodness they won both those games. Then they lost 2 games, and they won a game. It's like, okay, you're sitting good at 3-3 after your first 6 games. And then they lost 2. It's like, okay, whatever. They lost to Akron, who was a tournament team.
You're going to lose to Akron.
Right?
You're going to lose to Charleston.
Everyone but Miami lost to Akron, pretty much. Then it's like, okay, you beat Ball State. Sick. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
And then they lost every game the rest of the season, pretty much. So it hurt. It broke. They played with our emotions for the first month of the season. Was it a month? Can I say month?
Yeah.
I feel good about saying month. The first month of the season. I was like, okay.
You know how I feel about non-D1 games, man. Can we just not even schedule those? I know. Can we just not even?
Well, with the rate they're going, no one's going to schedule them because of the net.
I don't know, man. Let's talk about IU. This is a first-year head coach at the school. Jaren DeVries just finished his first year, and we were pretty high on what we thought that they were going to do. They were 41 in the preseason in Torvik, and they actually finished higher at 32. Which, if you're listening to those numbers, you're like, so they made the tournament. You're like, Well, actually, no.
Hey, they were in the first 4 out.
True.
They were the second team out.
Yes, I know. Which is an all too. I'm tired of seeing IU on Selection Sunday in that graphic. It's like
2 years in a row.
Okay, you're like looking at you're like at the last. We're at like always watching the last region, and we're like, well, the play-in games are already decided, so like they're not in, but maybe, and then it's like Texas, and you're like, oh, okay, well, they're not in. Like, I know they were, I know that they were getting in. Again, we see them first 4 out.
The irony is that because Texas was a play-in game.
Yeah. It was just the only 11 seed I could think of at the moment.
Yeah.
They were projected to go 18-13 and finish 10-10 in the Big Ten. That would be 12th. 12th officially, but actually a 5-way tie for 8th. We thought that they would go 9-2 in the non-conference because they were playing Kansas State, Kentucky, and Louisville and Marquette. We were like, just go 2-2 in those games, and those will be your only 2 losses, and then go 13-7 in conference to go 22-9. And we said single-digit seed. Like we said, they were the first 4 out, so they did not become a single-digit seed. They were 10th in the Big Ten, which is better than 12th, but not better than 8th, which is what they were if based on ties. And they went 18-14 and 9-11 in the Big Ten.
Never
so
forget.
Did not meet that goal. And I'll let you talk about newcomers, but let me just real quick tell you all the people that they had returned. All right, that's it. So those are all their returners from the Mike Woodson era. What do you have for me on the players?
Yeah, so all of them were I'm not going to list all of the transfers.
Tell us the ones that mattered, that ended up mattering.
Lamar Wilkerson, Tucker DeVries, Connor Enright, Tayton Connerway, Sam Alexis. Those were the
Nick Dorn
ones.
for a week.
Nick Dorn for a week. Those were the guys, right? Like those are the guys coming in that did make an impact. Obviously, several others, and then freshman Trent Sisley. Tayton Connerway was they're going to be their lead guard to start the season, right? Their point guard. Started quite a few games and then just got hurt and then kind of sucked. But the two that mattered, Lamar Wilkerson, he was a second team all conference player in the coaches bowl, third team in media. He averaged 20.9 points a game, broke several scoring records at Indiana, a record that he set, but then also broke like a couple weeks later. And Tucker DeVries, son of Darren DeVries, obviously you knew he was going to come over with Darren, assuming he got the eligibility waiver that he applied for. He averaged 13 points a game. No one else averaged double digits. Lamar, is a 38% 3-point shooter. Had some shooting. Things got hot for a while. Nick Dorn was a 38% 3-point shooter as well. Only averaged 8. When the season was all said and done. But again, there was a couple weeks there where he was averaging 15, 16 points a game. I thought guys like Reed Bailey were going to come in and be good.
The Reed Bailey week. Also,
there was a Reed Bailey week.
The Nick Dorn week.
Sam Alexis, though, was by far their most prominent big, right? They had a lot of guards. Mm-hmm. Their tallest guy was 6'9", I think, and Reed Bailey, or maybe Reed Bailey was 6'10", and Sam Alexis was 6'9". So they were just undersized compared to
Daniel
most
Jacobson
of the Big Ten.
Yeah,
I mean, you think about the Illinois average height was 6'9". Right, Indiana's tallest guy.
The 2 7-footers that Michigan rolled out there and won the national championship with.
Yeah, so like obviously that you had that. It was like, okay, with Darren DeVries's schemes, probably going to be okay. And on paper, it was. Just didn't quite have the guys that fit that. It was also Darren DeVries's first time in the Big Ten. So, like, there's a physicality aspect of the Big Ten that no other conference has that you kind of got to adjust to.
The season devolved into Lamar Wilkerson trying to be Kemba Walker because that's all this team had.
Yeah,
That was pretty much like the middle 2/3 of the season.
Yeah, and I mean, when we look at their record, right? We said 2-2, and in those 4 games,
the 4 prominent non-conference games,
those were true, right? They absolutely demolished.
Kansas State sucked.
Yeah, and so did
Marquette.
Marquette.
And then they got
so that sucked.
Their brains beaten by Louisville and a not great Kentucky team.
Yeah, and then you start off the Big Ten with a loss to Minnesota. You can't have that.
God.
In general, right?
That.
Yeah, I did too until I looked it up. In general, they just kind of the metrics. They were good on paper when it comes to computers, but they were just losing games that they shouldn't have.
This was a team that you saw them go cold in the second half, and they'd be up and you're like, no, they're gonna lose. They're gonna lose this game, and then they did. So really, I would say promising to start, and then just kind of fell off. We talked about the Marquette, Kansas State, Louisville, in Kentucky. Those were all their big games. Their biggest win was a win against Purdue at home. Still split with Purdue, so that's nice for rivalry.
Yeah.
Beat UCLA at UCLA. Those are actually back-to-back games. They beat Purdue at home and then flew out to UCLA, won, and then they beat number 22 Wisconsin, who was a tournament team. So had some good wins, just literally didn't have enough. Just didn't have enough wins. You get a Kentucky win, you beat Kentucky or you beat Louisville, you're probably in the tournament, honestly. And so
they were 3-10 in quad 1 games, which you can't really have.
And I mean, the bubble this year was atrocious. It was you're telling me Indiana might get in. It's dude, who else?
They were 3-4 in quad 2. So you go undefeated in quad 2, you're probably in.
Yeah. You win 2 more games, you don't lose to Minnesota, you might be in. Honestly.
Dare I say
you win the Iowa game that you should have won?
Dare I say you win the Nebraska game you should have won?
Yeah. There were a lot of games where it was Nebraska's down 17 and they lost to Nebraska.
Granted, Nebraska was undefeated at that point.
Yeah.
So obviously they were tried and tested.
Yeah.
But
our goals.
And they lost to Purdue by 30.
Yeah. What a swing. We said that they were going to make the NCAA tournament, be a single-digit seed, finish top 6 in the Big Ten. That didn't happen, so they did not meet their goals. They've done a lot in the portal this offseason already, so hopefully they can right those wrongs. Jaren, bring us to Indiana State. I'm ready to talk about a different team.
Yes, Indiana State, still in the Missouri Valley Conference. They were going into year 2, or just finished year 2 in the Matt Graves era. Preseason, they were 242. They ended the season at 210. So some rise there. Preseason, they were projected 12-19 overall, 7-13 in the Valley, which would have had them 10th or 11th, or 10th out of 11th, but tied for 9th in the Valley. We thought that they would go 10-10 in the Valley, and they'd be 16-15 overall. 6-5, and then the non-con is what we thought. Their actual record.
We thought that they would go 10-10 in the Valley. Mind you,
they went 4-16 in the Valley, and 11-21 overall.
Yeah,
they were 10th in the Valley. They were still 10th in the Valley, like the computers projected. But yeah, they underperformed based on what we thought. And by all accounts, pretty close to what the computers thought as well. Just a tough go. A lot of it had to do with Matt Graves. He missed the first half of the season.
Yeah, pretty much.
With some health things.
Heart issue.
Yep. I wasn't gonna go that far, but
it's not like it's like a secret.
That's true. So he missed a bit of the season there, so that didn't do them any favors. They showed signs of life a few times here and there, but they just weren't able to finish.
Yeah, I mean, so they had some good guys coming back, like Camp Swagner, the GOAT, came back, good shooter. Marcus Harding, their big man, came back. Derek Forrest, their other big man, came back. Bruno Allen came back. And they brought in Xavier Hall as a point guard to come in, came up from D2. Sterling Young came in. He was the SWAC Player of the Year from Florida A&M. And then Ian Scott comes in from Grace, one of the winningest program in the country over like the last 5 years or something absolutely ridiculous in any level of basketball. So those are the guys they brought in, and like you're expecting one of these guys to like hit. Like you're like, okay, Camp Swagner's gonna be the guy. He'll be like the go-to guy if you get like a guy like Xavier Hall or Sterling Young to like maybe come in and run it or whatever, get him some shots. The three guys that like really produced consistently, really you had one guy who produced super consistently, and that's Ian Scott. I mean, he averaged 13.5 points, 6.5 rebounds. Both of those led the team, and almost 1.5 steals per game. And he was like
39% 3-point shooting.
And he was third on the team in assists and tied for first in blocks. So like just literally did everything. Just did everything to will this team to win. But I mean, Camp shot only 34%. So did Sterling Young. They averaged 11.9 and 10 points respectively. And just, didn't get a lot out of the stuff. Like Bruno wasn't as good as we thought he would be. Six points a game, basically. You had a lot of guys in like the 5 to 7. Yeah.
Marcus Harding and Derek Forrest, they're two bigs, kind of just struggled. Didn't play a lot of games.
No, neither one of them really like separated themselves as the guy. So it kind of felt like 2 years ago with Butler when it was kind of like, which big's it gonna be? It's like, I don't know, man. Like it was like Reed Bailey, Sam Alexis. It's like, I don't know, whichever one's playing well right now, I guess you put him in.
And it didn't even help that they both missed 10 games. Like each of them individually missed 10 games. So like that didn't help. They faced a bunch of foul trouble when they did play.
Yeah.
So like they just kind of, they had three guys and then it was the rest of the team.
Yeah, basically. And they'd be like, who's gonna pop tonight? Who's gonna help these guys today?
You can't win with playing 3-on-5.
There's not unless you're. Well, I guess they didn't win that game. Never mind. Never mind. Neither here nor there. So their key games.
Were you gonna say Alabama?
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna bring that game up.
Didn't they only play with two?
It was three. It was 3-on-5. It was that Colin Sexton when he was there.
Yeah.
The whole bench got ejected.
Yeah. And two starters.
Yeah.
Or two.
Two players.
Yeah.
So their key games, they played SIUE. We thought these would be like, close to, would be important in the long run. Southern Indiana, Ball State. They hosted Louisiana Tech. And then they played in the Louisiana Tech MDE. So then they had to play at Louisiana Tech and play Alcorn State, which is funny, playing a team twice in a week, literally. Their biggest wins were versus 81 Belmont. They also won against 99 Illinois State, just like Evansville, and then they beat 111 Illinois Chicago. So didn't have like a ton on the resume there. Played Valpo to overtime once at home. Just couldn't close. I mean, really like fell apart down the stretch in a lot of games. Just didn't have the depth, didn't have that fourth guy to make a difference.
If you look at this, right, they lost a triple overtime game to Bradley.
That game was crazy
by 9. You lose by 1 to Louisiana Tech.
And they should have won that game in double
after
overtime.
Beating them by 9 previously. You lose by 7 to Alcorn State. You lose by 2 to Drake.
Mm-hmm.
A really good, or I guess a not really good Drake team. For
You
the first
barely
round.
lose to Duke.
You barely
by
lose to
38.
Evansville. You barely lose to Murray State. It's a 4-point loss to Murray State.
The Evansville one's hurts.
7-point loss to Bradley. A 2-point loss to Illinois Chicago. A 4-point loss to Valpo. 2-point loss to Murray. A 1-point loss to Valpo. A 1-point loss to Valpo again. So like, so many close games that quite literally could have gone any direction.
Yeah.
They just didn't. I think a lot of that has to do with having a depth. Just depth down the stretch. You get guys in foul trouble.
Yeah,
especially in those overtime
games. I don't know. A lot of silly moves done. The execution wasn't good.
Yeah.
These guys. So hopefully they can adjust that and fill some holes in the roster.
Their season goals was to get to 500 and win a game in Arch Madness. They did not get to 500.
They almost won a game in Arch Madness.
And then they almost won the game in Arch Madness, right? So, again, like I said, they played Valpo 3 times and lost close each time.
Yeah.
All of them were 4 points was the largest loss, and that was the overtime loss, and they lost twice by 1, including in Arch Madness. So just opportunity. Matt Graves still getting his feet under him. Obviously, it's he was a head coach before. It wasn't super successful, but I think he's just still trying to figure it out, because good opportunity being an in-state guy, a guy that loves Indiana, wanted to stay at Indiana State.
Yeah,
has passion for the program. It's just in the world that we live in with NIL. Obviously, there's gonna be turnover year over year. Guys are gonna leave to go get.
I think they'll be better in year 3.
And I think he's just still figuring out how does his system work with what they're able to bring in. So still time there for him. Talking about another guy who has plenty of time to figure things out. Ben Howlett at IU Indy. They're still in the Horizon League. Ben Howlett was his first year with the program after coming over from West Liberty. Preseason ranking was 361, so 4 above dead last in Torvik. They finished 295. They were a top 300 team, so quite a big jump there. Preseason, their projected record was 9-22, 4-16 in the Horizon League. We thought that they would be 17-14 overall, with going 11-9 in the league and 6-5 in the non-con. They finished 7-25, and then 3-17 in the league, which was good for 11th. We base this all off of the system that Ben Howlett runs. Aggressive defensively, gonna run up and down the court the entire game. He brought several guys over from West Liberty, and obviously had to bring a lot of guys in, especially when you consider their only returners were.
Yep, that's it.
Yep, they had none. So, talk to me about what their roster looked like.
Yeah, I mean, literally everyone is new. So, like, guys that were important. Kyler DiAugustino was the guy. I mean, he was the guy all year. He was a West Liberty transfer. McGuire Mitchell, he was from Zionsville, so he was a freshman. Was another a guy that mattered. He was like a top 10 player in Indiana. So he was, average double digits for them. Ended up being, really good. Jackson Edwards came from St. Bonaventure. Was at Valpo 2 years ago, if you don't remember that. He only played 4 games last year at St. Bonaventure. But, was another guy who had some pretty good production. And then Finley Woodward, another West Liberty transfer, was second team all conference there. But, averaged 8 and 5 rebounds and 6 assists. So he was absolutely dishing the rock this year. This team, like Kyler DiAugustino would just go for about $1 billion, just depending on the game. I feel like the talent was fine, but I felt like the way that they played, the way that they executed wasn't good enough. With this system, they would be up and then they would just turn it over a bunch, or they couldn't close, and then they would have to rely on shooting the three. And they only had, like last year, they had Kyler DiAugustino shot 39%, Mitchell shot about 35%, Tinsley shot about 35%. No one shot above that. I mean, like, especially with volume, like McGuire Mitchell shot 238 threes. Micah Davis shot 166. He only hit 52 of them. So you didn't have people who could, like, you didn't have like a 42% shooter. And the numbers are going to be kind of probably lower than you would expect just because of how many they take. Like, they do take a ton based on their offense, but you didn't have somebody who could just knock them down. So I don't know. I feel like the talent level had a bit of an adjustment to what they were going to do, and like we were a little like how it was going to go in D1 basically, and especially the Horizon League. The Horizon League caught on pretty quick and played them well.
Yeah. I think they had a great showing against Ohio State to start the season. Phenomenal. It put the entire world on notice. It's like, okay, if we're not prepared to play IU Indy,
they'll run you out.
We're gonna run us out of the gym. And teams started to adapt.
Namely Butler, like immediately after that game.
Yeah.
We're like, this one should be interesting. It's like, oh no, you lost to Butler by 30, 40. There, I guess 2 games after.
30,
yeah, you
32.
lost by 32.
Yeah.
After you almost beat LIU at home. Long Island, team that made the tournament. Almost beat them. Yeah, I mean, like, they also didn't score as many points as we thought that they were going to. We thought that this would be a team that would score in the hundreds. I think if they can increase their
they just didn't shoot well.
Yeah.
They
no kidding.
Were horrendous at shooting. Their field goal percentages were not great. I think that's a conversation we even had with them while we went to their game on Veterans Day against IU Columbus, as we typically do, or I don't say typically do, as we have done in the past, and they won by 40, by almost 50. And we even said, we're like, if this team finds their shot, because they shot horrendously in that game. They still scored 121 points. They were playing a non-Division I school, so that'll impact that. But that was the big thing. In Game 4 of the season, we're like, okay, if they can just find their shot, they're going to be successful.
Yeah.
And that's just one thing they didn't do. Like, they turned people over. Shoot, there was one game, I forget who it was against. It might have been Cleveland State late in the season, where Cleveland State just couldn't get the ball across half court.
Oh yeah, start of the game. I think that was Cleveland State in the tournament, in the Horizon League tournament.
No, well then, but also just like during the season as well, that there were like 6 back-to-back possessions where it's the game that they won against Cleveland State, where Cleveland State would inbound it, and then they'd either have a 5-second violation, or so I guess I wouldn't inbound it, but or they would turn it over before the ball got across half court. It's like, okay, that's the system working.
Yeah, I mean, you got to look at,
they're going to do that to teams, but then they would do that. They'd get a steal and then miss the basket and lose the rebound. So looking at the numbers here, they were literally the worst team in the country at getting to the line.
They got to the line fewer than anyone, like less than anyone else in the country, and they were 356th in sending people to the line. So they were giving up a lot of free throws and not shooting any, which is if you're like last on one of those but high on the other, it's fine. You obviously don't want to be not shooting a lot, but if you're not shooting a lot of free throws and your opponent's not shooting a lot of free throws, it's kind of a wash.
And that's also just a sign of their aggressive defense is like they're smothering people. They're just drawing too much contact.
They need to either get more turnovers or adjust when they don't get the turnover, because like they were also 362 on defensive effective field goal percentage. So people were shooting generally their best percentages of the year against them.
Yeah.
And, they had the 325th defense
especially
in the
from
country.
3.
Yeah. Especially from 3. 361st and 350. Like it was all the bad stuff was on the defensive end when they couldn't get the turnovers. They were the team was just kind of cooked.
Yeah.
So I mean, played LIU, almost won that game. That's Long Island. They almost won against the team that went to the tournament. They played at Butler. These are our key games. They played Alabama State and Air Force in the Air Force Classic, Morehead State and at Grand Canyon. And I mean, their biggest wins were over 145 Robert Morris and at 182 Oakland. So had good wins against good teams in the Horizon League, but this team lost a lot of games and just kind of fell apart, or like would be in a game. I feel like they led a lot at halftime and then would lose the game.
Yeah,
was kind of the trend for a while. This season.
But I mean, again, they're another team with a large number of single-digit losses. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 single-digit losses.
Yeah,
that's just on my quick math.
And literally, and even then is like. Some of the ones that were even more than that is like they were fouling down at the end of the game, or would get a steal and would have to jack up a 3 and would miss it. So it was like a lot of points being scored by the opponent when they were in close games down the stretch, because they were kind of needed to.
Their goals, the goals that we had for them. Was to make the Horizon League tournament quarterfinals and be above 500. They lost in the first round of the Horizon League tournament, and that was the Horizon League play-in game. So technically, didn't even make it to the first round of the Horizon League tournament, based on just how their bracket plays out. And then they did not finish close to 500.
But they did. So this is the first time that they finished in the 200s since 2021. In 2021, they finished 267th, and then they didn't finish in the 200s until this year when they finished 295th. So like, that's the number of wins weren't there. They won fewer games than the year before. With the previous regime, they went 10-22 and 6-14. This team went 7-25 and 3-17. The wins weren't there, but the numbers were better. Yeah, and that's something to go off of. And no person was probably more upset about the number of wins than Ben Howlett. I mean, just looking at like every single year of the COVID year, they didn't. There's nothing here for, I don't know where they finished, but they finished first in his conference every single year while he was at West Liberty, and made it, was a runner-up. Like they won 20, other than the COVID year, they won 26 games or more. Like the 7, like they lost 7 games in 23-24, and that's the most. The most he's ever lost in a season is 7 games. They finished with 7 wins. So definitely a different look. It's a tough job, but I think he's up for the task. So he'll be back for year 2, and I think that he's going to do even better. He's going to really have more time. He's going to have a full off season here to recruit guys, and so let's be hopeful for that.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big thing. Is he's a winner. He knows how to win. He knows how to build a program. And I think that we're certainly going to see that.
And now he knows what recruiting is going to look like a little bit more, and like how that goes.
Yeah,
at the Division I level and how it's different.
Again, he was a very late hire.
Yeah,
he didn't get hired until early May last year.
Was it then?
Yeah, because that's when we had him on.
Yeah.
We had him on his second day on the job.
That's right. No, late May.
Was it late May?
Mm-hmm. That's when the articles come out. Yeah. On May 27th. So we must have had him on right there at the end of May.
Yeah. So, yeah, very late.
So
a lot later than I thought.
That's super late. Like,
so,
you're like finding people who are just left over in the portal, literally.
Yeah. So he'll get some guys in. Obviously didn't have much time to recruit the high school level. So he'll have opportunity to do that, or he did have opportunity to do that. So a lot of promise still there for IU Indy. But that is the last team that we are going to talk about today. Again, we talked about 6. This week we would talk about the other 5. Anything else?
Nope.
For you, Adam?
Nope. Just excited for the off season.
Yeah. Obviously, we're keeping track of what these teams are doing in the off season, but we'll unless anything crazy happens, likely won't spend too much time talking about it until September, October time when we're doing our season previews.
Yeah, we usually, because like it comes like so sporadically that like I don't know, like we could have a lot one week, we could have nothing the next week, and it's like, what if a guy slips through the cracks that we don't see or something that we don't mention? Then we just do it all in one, and I don't know, talk to guys on the team if we can, or players or coaches. So rather do that for the off season.
Yep, absolutely. So the clock is showing quadruple zeros, so it's time for us to get out of here. Thanks for checking in on the State of Basketball podcast. We will see you next time. And remember, in 49 states,
it's just basketball.